Welcome to another edition of Rick and Bubba University, the podcast. Bubba, we are excited on this edition to visit with, this man can really walk through almost all the history of the Rick and Bubba Show.
Rick, he's been very successful in Major League Baseball. He's been Roll Age Reliever of the Year. He's been an All-Star. He's played on several teams and has just done real good.
Todd Jones. Hey, Todd.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Yeah, Todd.
Hey,
Todd. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on this. This is kind of cool because you're right. I mean, we've had a chance to spend a lot of time together, closely, intently, and then from afar and back and forth, and it's just great to be with you guys during this time. So thanks for having me.
Well, there's a ton of history with Todd Jones, the Major League Baseball player, and Rick and Bubba. I mean, we've got all kinds of stories that we can cover on this edition, and we can talk about other topics too in the sports world and just in the world in general. But I'm trying to remember when we do these podcasts with someone as much history as you. You pitched at Jacksonville State University.
Yes.
And you came from Georgia.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And so
that's where we first met Todd, and we remember Todd, but over the years I've got the hint from Todd he don't remember us.
Right. You don't remember us when you pitched at Jacksonville State.
I don't remember you guys as a tandem, on the
because we weren't doing the show.
Yeah, we wasn't a tandem.
Yeah.
I wasn't part of the show.
No, we were just good and in hanging out, coming to see Jack State play baseball.
Well, yes, because now the football team would pull up on the top of the hill where the old baseball field is, which is now the current softball field,
right,
at Jack State. And
it was up on a hill,
and
buddy.
they would tailgate, and we never got to interact with them. And then when we would come watch the football players, we never got to interact with them. So
this is Todd's way of saying he still doesn't remember.
No, you might know that Coach Burgess, who was the football coach, had some sons.
Oh yeah,
but you didn't know us. Really.
No, I do remember meeting Bubba at the radio station in Jacksonville.
Once upon a time.
Were you doing that?
Is that AM 810? Was that AM 810?
Or the college station?
Or the college?
Was it in 91 something?
We were there helping with ball games at some form or fashion, and that's where I met you. But it was in passing,
right.
Pretty much.
That's when you were still.
You were a big deal.
I was not a big deal.
I was about to say that's when you were having some control problems.
That's the understatement of the entire college experience.
Yeah. Yeah, you had a hard time.
You put one on the backstop.
Yeah, you could.
I saw somebody at the World Series try that move the other night.
Yes,
at a bad time.
It's a humbling thing.
You had a lot of power, but not a lot of control.
I did. Yes.
And so that Jack State was trying to dial that in. So how did Major League Baseball find you? Because the fact you could throw so hard that gets you a shot with them. They always think, we can work that out. As long as you got the velocity, we can handle the rest.
When I was a freshman and sophomore in college, I had the opportunity to go play summer baseball, and it was a league similar to the Cape Cod League, but it was not. The Cape Cod League is the most prestigious summer ball league in the country. The premier pitchers go there, the premier hitters go there, and if they can do well off of each other, they have a potential to play pro ball and have a chance to keep going. I was in a lesser league run by a guy named Walter Youse, who was a scout for the Milwaukee Brewers. And he was an East Coast
now that
scout.
Name is pretty familiar. Did he have relatives named Robin?
No. That's Yount.
It's very close, though, to
Yes.
me. It's very close to me.
In our world, it's the same name.
Yeah.
This guy was a regional cross-checker scout for the East Coast of the United States. So he put together this college team. We had 11 guys off of one summer ball team get drafted.
Wow.
I incidentally played with Denny Nagel, who won 20 games with the Yankees and pitched with the Braves and won a World Series, and then there were several other guys from NC State and Clemson and Minnesota, Maryland, and here I was from Jacksonville State, and Coach Abbott got me that offer, and I really did well and brought back some momentum to Jacksonville State because I was able to pitch, throw strikes, and everything, and did really well my sophomore year at Jacksonville State. Well, not really, relatively to my junior year, and then my junior year at Jacksonville State. To be honest, I didn't know how to handle any of the pressures that I put on myself. The pressures that I felt when these pro scouts would come to the campus. And
because before you didn't think there was any hope of that. Now it's real. You know you could potentially play now.
Yes.
Now the scouts are coming, and you said that pressure was a little
and
more.
it's getting that time where they're going to make their decision on it.
And that pressure it was difficult for you.
And it was something because I got drafted out of high school, so having a chance to play pro ball was kind of always in the forefront. But then when you have to go out and perform, and have a club say, "Okay, we're interested in you. Now show me what you can do." And I didn't know how to handle it.
Who drafted you out of high school?
The Mets, the New York Mets did.
So why did you not go then? What did that look like?
Do you want to know the truth?
Well,
that's why we do Rick Bubba University, the podcast.
Yeah.
This is a behind-the-scenes conversation where we unpack things maybe you never heard on the show.
So in high school, I got drafted in the 42nd round. That was when there were unlimited numbers of rounds that you could be drafted in, and I was a high school kid out of Marietta, Georgia, and the New York Mets took a chance on me, and they were going to follow me during the summer, and then right before school they would make their offer, and you'd either go or not. But you know what? The scout in that area got very sick, and the Mets never made an offer. Okay. So I went to Jacksonville State.
I got you.
And so I had a little momentum. I had a little momentum coming out of high school into college. And but I tell you what, it was a difficult time for me, and now looking back is, I just didn't know how to handle it. I didn't have people around me that could buffer me from what I should be buffered from, and then help me process and deal with the things that I had to deal with.
So how did you end up getting into the league?
Getting drafted?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I threw very hard, and baseball is unlike football, where if you run a 4.2, you're a first-round draft pick.
Right.
There's hard and fast rule. There's hard and fast things that in the NFL, if you can do this and you can do this and all the max press and how far can you jump and things like that, those translate more concretely than baseball. Baseball is kind of the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So there were some teams that absolutely hated me because there was no way I was ever going to learn how to throw strikes. My mechanics were too complex. I had too many moving parts. And then there were some that say, we can clean that up and we can fix it. And you just dance with the ones that brung you. And the Astros at the time, liked what they saw, and they took a chance. And I was the 27th player taken in the country out of Jacksonville State. And that was Frank Thomas was in that draft, and several other guys that played. But
so how much money to throw at you first time?
Okay, so
there it is.
1989.
Well, it's public knowledge.
Yeah, it is.
1989 was the first year. Now check this out. 1989 in the draft was the first year that everybody in the first round got $100,000 at least, and so that was 26 players because there was only 26 teams
Now he said 100,000
in baseball at that time. So I was the 27th person taken, and I signed for $75,000.
Wow,
which was great for me. I mean,
that's a job.
That's
a good job.
I'm rich, y'all. I mean, I got married. Me and Michelle, my wife of 31 years. I thought I was like, man, I can buy a Jeep. I can pay for. I can pay for a 2-bedroom apartment. We can rent a 2-bedroom.
I'm gonna play baseball.
I'm gonna play baseball. It's gonna be easy, and it was not. So there's a lot to learn with that.
That minor league world. How long were you there?
I was there for 4.5 years.
That's a tough life, isn't it?
And it's geared to be tough, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's geared to. I mean, now that I'm older and I've coached and I've seen the other side of the ball, the uncomfortable truth is that there's only 3 or 4 or 5 prospects on a team, and the other guys are just helping them field the team so they can play, and they can develop, and they can make a run at it and have a shot. And fortunately, they considered me one of those guys. So, the things are kind of designed for you to succeed and you to move up and you to keep going. And, that's kind of how that world works. But, I mean, the first year I was making $750 a month. and I was not married at the time. I got drafted in June, signed in July, and got married in December. So my very first year in professional baseball was Auburn, New York, in the New York Penn League, and I had 4 roommates. And one of the guys bought a car for $200, and we would ride it to the park each day. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the year, we like the whole team, we had a big party, and we beat it to death with bats and drove it off a cliff.
How about that?
That sounds like fun.
That sounds like a blast.
Yeah, that was the end.
Now, what was the name of that team?
That was the Auburn Astros.
The Auburn Astros.
Yes, and
that rookie ball? What level is it?
It was called short season A ball because it's designed for the kids that come out of the draft, have a place to play, and they start their games June 1st. So I show up July 1st in a suit to Auburn, New York, because I didn't know nothing.
Right.
Went to Hibbett's, bought a wood bat, and I show up in a suit in a clubhouse that didn't have air conditioning, and it was,
was it a fence or a clubhouse?
It was underneath the stands, and one shower for everybody, one shower head for everybody, and one big tub of peanut butter and one big tub of jelly, but all the fruit you could eat. So and I was making $750 a month, but it's kind of designed that way. It's designed that you play every day, and it's hard, and the club does absolutely nothing. They don't help you find a place to live.
Oh, really?
They don't help you with with any kind of where do you buy a $200 car in Auburn, New York? Nobody knows that. But you're just kind of thrown out there, and you just kind of have to sink or swim, and that kind of teaches you, reprograms you, that if you come from a big school with a lot of budget, like a kid from USC,
right,
and then he's in Auburn, New York, and there's no flights because he flew in the Pac-12,
right.
But or you come from Jacksonville State, it's I was moving up, he was moving down. and it all kind of brings us all to one place. Yeah.
All right, we'll come back. We'll talk more with Todd Jones about how he ended up in the big leagues and how he ended up interacting with us when Rick and Bubba University, the podcast, continues. All right, so let's talk about the time of year we're about to celebrate. Independence, the values that made America great. Now more than ever, it's important to support companies like Patriot Mobile. Now, they not only share, the beliefs of most everyone who follows this show, definitely some of the convictions we have here as a show, but they stand behind them with action. Now, Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless carrier and donates a portion of every dollar to organizations that fight for causes that you and I, as people with a biblical worldview, what we care about. Right now, they have 2 great offers to choose from. Either get 50% off your first 2 months or $100 off any phone. Both come with free Premier activation, and all you have to do is just go to patriotmobile.com/RickBubba. That's patriotmobile.com/RickBubba for all the details. Patriot Mobile has the broadest nationwide coverage and uses the same towers as the major providers, so you get great service, but you're doing it for less money. Switching is easy. We just told you how to do it. Go to patriotmobile.com/RickBubba, or you can call their top-rated U.S.-based team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-PATRIOT. Veterans and first responders, you're going to save even more. So we need to stick together, and let's support companies that speak the truth, and you don't have to feel like you're supporting some company that represents things you don't believe in. Go to patriotmobile.com/RickBubba. That's patriotmobile.com/RickBubba. So we're visiting with Todd Jones on this edition of Rick and Bubba University, the podcast. You're in Auburn, New York. You've just come into the minor league system.
Yes.
You're living the dream. You were
the dream.
drafted to be a Major League Baseball pitcher, which so many of us had dreams of as little kids.
Yes. Right. I was the first round pick, right? Mm-hmm. And I show up in Auburn, New York, and one of my teammates pretended that he couldn't hear.
Oh, that's so good.
There were so many things that
you got hazed a little bit, didn't you?
I was like this big, puppy, like Labrador puppy walking into like a living room full of, older, more experienced dogs and say,
knew
hey,
nothing.
let's see what this
Let's
guy's
mess
all
with
about.
Let's mess with this kid.
Oh, they just it was all in fun, and there's all lessons that we all learned from doing stuff like that. But it was not fun going through.
Todd, let me ask you about baseball. You know, I used to throw the pill around a little bit on the same field you did, by
Yes,
the
you
way.
did, and probably better
So,
than I did.
no, I didn't walk as many, but I lost a few balls there at the launching pad. So what did they do to help you get control? What changes did they make?
Well,
Let's talk specifics of your pitching.
Well, I think the Astros, like the first 3 years that I was in the organization in the minor leagues, I was a starter because I had the ability to throw 4 pitches, but I was still continuing to run into what is called pitch count issues, which means you're only allowed in the minor leagues. You're only allowed 100 pitches,
So you wasn't putting them where you wanted them and getting the good out of it.
I wasn't
wasting a lot of pitches.
I wasn't efficient enough to get deep into a game to help me, continue to be a starter. So the Astros kind of realized, I mean, he's got the best stuff of all the starters in this list in the minor leagues. Let's try him as a reliever. And that was a year and a half, and in a year and a half I was in the big leagues because it was like that much of a switch.
That was the turn, yeah.
That I didn't have to pace myself. I didn't have to try to get the same guy out 3 different ways.
Yeah.
Fastball, curveball, changeup. I could go bam, bam, bam and see what happens. And, being a reliever, by the time that the other team, realizes that you don't have anything that night, the game's over.
Right. Yeah.
Because they just missed 3 of them.
Right.
And I'm showering, because
Right.
the game's over. So, that was a great thing. And then actually the pitching coach for the Astros now is a guy named Brent Strom. And he was in the minor leagues when I was there, and he helped change my mechanics. So I was able to repeat my mechanics as a quarterback or as a tennis player. You have to
Well,
have
did
the
you
same
just point
mechanics.
at me as a quarterback? Or
Well,
you just mean football and tennis? Yeah,
football,
okay.
tennis.
Okay, yeah, right. Because I've never been called a quarterback ever.
But you have to have the same kind of throwing mechanics. You have to have the same kind of hitting mechanics to be able to control the ball.
Right.
So in college, I had too many moving parts and all this stuff, and not enough time to change it. But with the Astros, I could sit on a backfield for a month, and I could just specifically work on little things, and that's what ultimately changed. And then having a chance to go to winter ball and spend 4 months in Venezuela and go through a military coup, and have your wife be in a hotel that's now locked down because of a national curfew.
Oh my gosh.
Those things,
They grow you up.
They teach me how to compete and how to get a hitter before he gets me.
Yeah, because you pitched around a military coup. So pitching around a batter is really no big deal.
And Todd, it looked
And
like
the police officers on the field had German Shepherds and guns and machine guns.
That has to feel good.
So if somebody would jump on the field, you could take care of them.
Try to throw with those distractions.
Yes.
So, Todd, it looks like, and you mentioned it earlier, you greatly just simplified your movement. You just took a small step and slung it. There wasn't all the,
It's
moving
kind
your
of the
foot
difference.
around on the rubber and twisting your hips, and I mean, it just looked like you really simplified your motion.
I did. I just picked up my front foot and stride downhill. Well, because my body was kind of built that my arm was very quick, and I was able to kind of catch up. So I had to kind of keep my bottom half sped up to keep up with my arm, because for years they would try to slow down my bottom half to give me balance and help me get on top to throw. But then the Astros like, scratch that and let's speed up the bottom and make so it can keep up with your arm. And then one thing the Astros really did that was kind of cool mentally was there was finally, for the first time in my career as a reliever, they go, I don't care how many people you walk. Because the bottom line is you get into trouble when you give up walks and hits. Mm-hmm. You don't get hit a whole lot. So if you walk people, I don't care.
As long as you get them out.
As long as you get them out.
So you move.
And being a little wild actually helps you, because hitters don't really know what's coming.
They don't.
I mean,
they
if
don't
you
know
throw
what to do.
94 and you put it on the corner all the time, they can catch up to that. But if you're if they got to look out for their health and welfare, they're not as apt to.
That's right. They're not able to focus on one side of the plate because I'm not able to focus on the other side of the plate. And that was kind of the reality. Even when I got to the big leagues, I was still trying to harness it. And then as my stuff went away, my command really picked up, and I was able to maintain it.
Let me ask one more technical question while we're at it, and we'll move to some of the other career spots. When you throw, your arm has to be loose, right?
Correct. Yes.
I mean, the biggest problem when you're a kid, I think, is trying to muscle the ball, or you look like your arm was a piece of rope and you were whipping it.
Yes, that's kind of where now that I'm coaching. The kids nowadays, all they care about is how hard am I throwing. And when people get into trouble is when they try to do what you're talking about, which is create velocity, which is you're grunting and you're stretching and you're trying to throw as hard as you can. And really, what you need to learn how to do is learn how to pitch at about 90% effort, and then so you can command stuff, and then so you can change speeds two ways. You can go up by picking up a couple more miles an hour when you really need to reach back, or you can slow down with breaking balls and changeups, and that's kind of learning how to pitch. And I was still a couple years away from learning how to pitch, but I was able to do that in the big leagues.
So tell me, because this is what I'm thinking about, like Bubba talked about. You're a little boy. We all see these professional athletes play, and you start thinking, what would it be like? And since we're talking about baseball, I'm going to be in the locker room, and I'm going to look over there, and there's going to be a Houston Astros jersey, not Auburn Astros, not whatever, fill in the blank, all the different places you played. Tell us about that day, the first day you're in the lineup, and you walk in, and there's your jersey hanging up, and you're like, I'm about to play Major League Baseball.
I mean, it's incredible, because you think about it your whole life, and then what I was kind of hoping that there would be some like ceremony where where the equipment guy would like bring my jersey and present it to me like Lion King.
Yeah, right. You
because I'm here. I'm about to, and it was just another day for them.
Right.
But it's a very special thing, and it's very surreal. Like I can remember Jeff Bagwell was playing first base for the Astros. Not the night that I made a major league debut, but like 1 week into the season that I was with him, and I was fielding a ground ball during a game, and I was flipping it to Jeff to stand to get the guy out of first base, and I heard the second baseman say, throw it to Bagwell, baggy.
Oh my gosh!
And I was thinking, wow, that's really cool. I got to throw it to Bagwell instead of Joe Blow.
Right, yeah.
No, throw it to Bagwell, who is ultimately a Hall of Famer and a wonderful.
So that's one of those moments that really was surreal. You're like, I can't believe what the second baseman's telling me right now.
Yeah, that and the first time I faced Barry Bonds.
Hello.
Was like, I'll never forget this. Was like, here's a kid, broken home, C student, Jacksonville State, nothing, and Barry Bonds has to give me his undivided attention for 30 seconds.
Ooh.
Because, I mean, he has to know what I can do. He has to know my strengths. He has to know my weaknesses. So he, studied me. And I can remember the first time I ever faced him, I'm like, he's given me his undivided attention. Because when I was 10 years old, I would go to the Braves game, and I would pretend to throw my hat into the bullpen. And I would ask the guys if they'd throw me my hat. So we were in New York, or I was at the Braves game listening, and the Mets were playing, and I threw it into their bullpen, and Roger McDowell, threw me my hat, and I'm thinking Roger McDowell just looked at me, and it was so little stupid stuff come through when you get a chance to, you think about how it's going to be, and then it ends up you get a chance to do it, and it's super awesome.
We'll come back as we continue to walk through the career, and we're moving into Todd Jones meets Rick and Bubba. When Rick and Bubba University, the podcast continues. All right, so let's talk a little bit about, I'm no hassle, Rick. I am not a fan of a hassle. So when we've been stuck inside during all this pandemic, what's one of the things that we heard a lot of people doing? They start working on their yards. They start working on gardening. So if you're tired of going to the big box stores, why don't you go to fastgrowingtrees.com, the world's largest online nursery. So no more waiting in lines, messy cars. Hey, I got my car messy. I've got this stuff. Got to get home. Digging through lackluster selection. You get down there and you're like, well, this stuff looks like it's dead. Just go to fastgrowingtrees.com and choose from thousands of varieties of trees, shrubs, and plants. The experts have curated these so that they will thrive in your area because they've got some information from you. And they're delivered to your door in 1 or 2 days, so 2 days max. So whether you're looking maybe for some shade, maybe you're trying to say, hey, we need some privacy, we need some trees here, maybe you want fruit trees, maybe you just want to add some color to the yard. Every plant is shipped with a well-developed root system ready to explode with new growth. Now, let me tell you something. This is because the thing that I see with Sherry all the time and why we love this product is when she does go to the nursery and gets there, and like we talked about, and they don't have what she needs, or they're out of it, or what they have doesn't look good because the best has already been picked over. So you're going to love this product. So now through July 31st, go to fastgrowingtrees.com/Bubba for 15% off. That's 15% off of fastgrowingtrees.com/Bubba. Fastgrowingtrees.com/Bubba. You are going to love this product. Rick and Bubba University, the podcast with Todd Jones. So here you are in the big leagues. You've had your debut. Barry Bonds has had to give you his undivided attention, and now we don't have 2 hours on the podcast, so we can't go through all of it.
Sure.
But now Todd, the reliever in Major League Baseball, his career has begun. You go from Houston to Detroit. Is that our next stop?
Yes.
And this is when things start really coming together. I mean, you did all right. You did fine in Houston, but with Detroit, I mean, Roll Age Reliever of the Year.
Right.
I mean,
All-Star.
All-Stars. Yeah. And you make the All-Star team. You let Bubba and I go to the All-Star game. So before we get to that, you met us. If I remember, we did a remote, and for those you don't know, a remote is us being on location, saying, hey, come out and see us. We're so-and-so, so-and-so, and you're telling the radio station this. And we came to where you have lived in Pell City, Alabama, and we're there in the parking lot, and we start doing some sort of promotion with you. That's the first time I remember meeting you.
I think that is correct. I think it was a car dealership, and we were you were having breakfast, and we were throwing biscuits, and you would hit them with a wiffle ball ball bat.
Come let Todd Jones throw a biscuit, see if you can hit it.
I remember on the way to that remote, because we knew you were going to be there, and they were promoting it. Of course, being a celebrity there at Pell City. And I told Rick, I said, I met Todd in college, but I don't know if he'll remember us or not. And you were kind of the same way. And when we got there, you were very nice and acted like you remember us. And I'm like, hey, you remember us?
At this point, you seem to...
I think you faked that, though,
You
Rick.
seem to know that something about the show. Had you started listening to the show?
Oh, yes. I mean, that was the Gadsden days, correct?
Oh, yeah.
And the Pigskin Roundup still is radio gold. I wish you guys were able to find a way to re-archive that.
A lot of people say Pigskin Roundup was Rick and Bubba completely out of control.
Well, Todd, we have a saying, never count it out.
Yeah, that's right. Wait a minute, how about this? I'm about to play something for you that's going to own you. All right, are you ready for this?
Yes.
All right, listen to this.
Pygmy baby. Pygmy baby.
And that was what you guys would say when you were given the score of a game, and if you needed a roundup, if you needed an update, to have somebody call in and give you an update. Is that how it was
We
back
just
then?
scream pygmy.
You would call and they'd say pygmy, and we say pig us.
Yeah.
And then they would ask for a score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
And then
that
remember coming out the break, this, and we'd have the Commodore's machine gun playing.
Yeah, sure. I mean that was the first part of the phenomenon that kind of attracted me. But then, what's crazy, and the baseball was really a cool thing, but everybody around here, around Birmingham and around Alabama and around the South, they don't even know might have never seen me play.
Yeah.
But they knew me from the show.
No, what was odd, because of the market you were put in,
Yes.
you were from Marietta, and we came close a few times with you playing for the Braves.
Yes.
But so you did. If you'd have gone to the Braves, it would have been different. But then you go to Detroit. Well, people down where you're from don't follow Detroit Tigers baseball.
They didn't have a way to back then.
How about this? You were a bigger deal in Detroit than you were here, because the people of Detroit actually watch you play.
Yeah, I was like, hey, people around town were like, when you gonna play pro ball? When are you gonna play against the Braves? I'm like, I'm in the other league. It's the same thing, but it's called the American League.
Right.
In a good way, the American League.
But then with you becoming at that point when we met each other and we had a blast that day at that remote.
Yes.
And you went right along with it. I mean, you were not pretentious at all. You're like, I'll throw biscuits. Absolutely.
We had a great time.
And so we ended up hitting it off, and so that starts this relationship. And you, Todd Jones, were awarded, we took this poll not long ago, with the greatest Rick and Bubba shout-out of all time. And you did several, but the one that won, because we did a poll, who do you think has given us the biggest shout-out of all time? And it was between you and Cassio, because he wore a Rick and Bubba shirt on the Tonight Show. And that was when you wrote our names on your hat during the All-Star Game for Major League Baseball. And
Still got that hat. Did you see it in my office?
Yeah, and I think you got fined for that.
I did.
Yeah, you got.
And we were supposed to pay you for that.
You're right.
It's okay.
You're right.
I think we have. I think we squared it up through all the meals we've had together.
Well, you made the All-Star Game.
I don't know. That's a lot of meals.
And you were very good to us. We got to bring our wives to see the game. And then the greatest shout-out ever, you with Rick and Bubba on your hat as you go into pitch.
So how much did that cost you?
There's a ceiling in baseball. You can only be fined $1,000.
Okay.
Or $999.
Right.
So I got fined $999. You had to write it to Major League Baseball, and they would donate it to a charity, to their charities.
When we knew you were devoted to the show, is this was a once in a lifetime moment many times, and this was a big moment. And they're scanning down the lineup, and you're trying to make sure that Rick and Bubba gets on TV. And I thought to myself, that guy is devoted to the show right there.
No, I think sometimes because you guys are part of it every day, and you guys are it, that it's hard to fathom that people are as loyal as they are. But the Army over the years has flexed its muscle so many numerous times that it's unreal. I mean, a perfect example, recent history, was I don't know how you guys got there, but it couldn't have been 2 steps. And next thing you know, y'all are flying on a plane up to the White House to interview President Trump.
Right.
There's like the tentacles of the Army.
I know, and
are unbelievable.
Did you get people?
So you really felt an obligation to them even more than us.
I just
because
know
if you didn't get the shout out in, they were never going to hear the end of it.
Well, that and also, you guys really helped me around town because people were familiar with at least my name, and there were so many things that so many doors that would open up around here that would have never opened up, and I played Major League Baseball.
Well, Todd, we loved when you would come on the show and you would scream out the window at people.
Yeah.
See, that was fun.
We used to talk
That
to you,
was
man.
good stuff.
We'd interview out on the road. The one I remember the most was
Chicago.
we made you holler at Chicago.
Yeah.
And you were screaming at Oprah.
And to Oprah.
I just remember being reprimanded by you guys because the problem with the Rick and Bubba show when you want to get involved in it is, wow, it's early.
Yeah, it's real early.
It really is.
I mean, especially when you have a night game that night and you don't have you have a night game tonight.
Yeah.
But they want to get you up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
I
And you
know,
got to be
it's tough.
on point because they'll call you out on the radio.
You remember us saying that's not enough. You don't seem fired
Todd,
up.
I need
And
you
Todd,
to wake up.
Did people? They
I need
never
you to
did
wake up.
bother you because we would get people call the show and they would say, "Hey, I went to Major League game and Todd was in the bullpen. I went over and screamed at him and he gave us a ton." And
Everywhere.
I got stay in it so many times.
Everywhere.
Or shout outs or first time caller or the little nuances. Monkey grass,
Everywhere you go.
things like that the people because they're just showing love because you guys, what's special for y'all is that you guys are part of people's life and part of their routine for how they get ready. They know when you guys weren't nationally syndicated, there was a 7 o'clock song. Yeah. And if you weren't, if the kids weren't dressed and in the car by the 7 o'clock song, y'all were gonna be late. Yeah. So there's ways that you mark your life, and the first 4 hours of the day from 6 to 10 is the way everybody around here did it.
So when we come back, Rick and Bubba helped Todd negotiate a contract.
And now I get to return the favor.
we just want to be sure you got the facts right.
Okay.
when Rick and Bubba University, the podcast with Todd Jones continues. All right, so let's talk about Tommy John. I mean, Tommy John, when you're out there in the summer, let's face it, we want to soak up sun. We don't want to soak up sweat. Tommy John underwear is a solution to not feel sticky because of the cool cotton fabric. It's 2 to 3 times cooler than regular cotton. Now, you can get a pair of new Tommy John underwear, and then you can breathe. Let's face it, we don't want to have that not so fresh feeling. Okay, and you can be cool. Where you need to be cool when you're out in the sun when you wear these great.
No, we're not talking about elbow surgery. Todd panicked.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the area of your body where underwear is worn. You don't want that area not to be cool and comfortable. No. With all the heat that's out there. So there's all kinds of comfort innovations. The breathable, lightweight, moisture-wicking fabric, 4 times the stretch of competing brands. Once you try Tommy John underwear, I'm telling you, you're not going back. That's why they don't have customers. You know what they have? Fanatics.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a fan.
I have several of their shirts, several of their underwear.
Oh,
great.
My goodness. Hundreds and hundreds of them. After 13 years and tens of thousands of 5-star reviews called Tommy John, they've all been saying this, the most comfortable underwear ever. And as Todd just said, we agree, we love them. Do you realize they've sold over 15 million pairs?
That's a lot of underwear.
That's a lot. America loves Tommy John underwear. All right, so if you want to keep cool this summer, you need to get 20% off your first order at TommyJohn.com/RickBubba. That's TommyJohn.com/RickBubba for 20% off. TommyJohn.com/RickBubba. See the site for all the details. Rick and Bubba University, the podcast with Todd Jones. We've got about 10 more minutes with you. You did very well at Detroit. Roll-Age Reliever of the Year, All-Star, and then your contract was ending.
Wow, what a great time to hit that high note.
Yeah, and
yeah, you would think.
And for some reason, and you'll need to explain this, I believe that Greg was the one who, my brother, who kept coming to you. Why are you?
It was at a Christmas party, as a matter of fact, on the front steps of my house.
What was his quote? Why are you asking for?
Why are you listening to this guy?
Yeah, why are you letting the DJ talk to you about your Major League Baseball contract? And do you remember what I said?
No. About
Archie Manning.
Yeah. No, I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be remembered as Archie Manning, and there's nothing wrong with Archie Manning.
No, there's nothing. But
you were having a great career, but the Tigers were not.
They weren't doing.
They wasn't on top of the game.
Yeah,
they weren't doing well.
Yeah, and
at that time.
So I was offered a contract extension, a 3-year contract extension, and after consulting my yogi, Rick and Bubba.
Now, let me be clear. Rick gave you that information. I can't really.
It was a legitimate question.
I can't really
legitimate question.
Sign on to that advice. I was more in Greg's camp.
Yeah. Rick simply said, "Do you want to be a good player in a team that at that time was not really doing much, like Archie Manning, or did you want to possibly have an opportunity to be with a team that was going in a different direction?
Play for a championship before your career's over, and you were at the top of your game at the time."
Yeah, and ultimately after consultation, I said I turned it down, and then
show me you pushing it back,
and then the arm injury said, "You know what, Detroit, I'm just going to go ahead and push that right on."
You pushed back a 3-year deal for how much money?
Well, it was $15 million at that time, which was a lot. For me, but it was a lot of money. But then also it was pretty good in the industry. It was in the top half and of the relievers and things like that. So I went ahead and said, "Nah, it's not good enough." Right. So,
but I just kind of thought you might take advice from more people than Rick, like Norman or
No, I think
Bell City Mafia.
I think ultimately, there comes a time in your career where you want to scratch that itch, but ultimately,
for some reason, and I don't know why, the audience, the show, and unfortunately your wife thought that I really did play an influential role in you pushing that back.
Show it again, Tom.
Yeah.
Well, you just take that. You say, you know what?
You take that $15 million.
That's a lot of zeros, but you know what? I'm good.
Good.
Surely there was an agent or some other people involved, right?
Yeah.
The agent was there.
Did you ever tell the agent I talked to Rick from Rick and Bubba, and he said, "What?"
No, the agent was there, and he goes, "Hey, we'll do what you want to do. We'll see what happens." And then ultimately, I had a really, really bad year.
And how many teams did you play for on that one decision?
So on my 3 years, $15 million deal that would have been in place, I signed a 2-year, $4 million deal, and then had to get another 1-year, $1 million deal. So
and really played for a lot of teams in that run.
And played for Minnesota, Colorado, Boston, and Cincinnati, and Florida.
Sorry, buddy.
During that time,
but during that 3-year run, you were at the Rockies, right? Isn't that where
part
you
of
went?
it? Part of it was in Colorado, and then part of it was Boston, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, Florida.
So from 15 to what? What did that 3 years
Sound like that was $5 million.
No, it was actually 3 years, 5. Yeah, 3 years, 5.
Which is $10 million less than 15.
And it's $10 million less, and was really happy to have gotten the 2 years, 4. After the kind of year I had when I turned down the 3 years, 15. And then there's that uncomfortable part of the winter in the off season when you wake up in a sweat and realize you've ruined your family. And
Colorado's a tough place to go to because it's known as a launching pad.
Here's another good call.
Which is not good for pitchers.
Here's another good call, Todd. Hey, why don't you come to Colorado for 2 years? And see how your sinker does there.
Where the air's thin.
So that was really the.
I'm sorry.
That's
on me.
It just compounded everything. But ultimately, I had a chance to
Happy ending.
I had the chance to go back to Detroit
And
pitch in a World Series.
see there.
Be the all-time saves leader for the Tigers, and now that I'm retired, still involved. With the marketing and the fan.
You're in Trivial Pursuit now.
Sure.
Because
I'm
you
in
threw
Trivial
Last pitch
Pursuit.
in the old stadium.
So
Todd Jones throws the last pitch in Tiger Stadium.
Todd,
See what happened. That probably wouldn't have happened if you'd taken that deal.
And Todd, I want to tell you, when we were growing up, the de facto reliever was Goose Gossage for the Yankees.
Sure.
That's who we saw all the time growing up as a kid. You got more saves than he does.
I do.
You're
I
ahead
do
of him
that.
on the list.
Yeah, but
Where
I mean,
are
obviously-
you all time? Where are you on the saves list?
I think right now, because there's still guys that are passing me, but right now
20?
I'm in the top 25.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so
Pretty good from a little guy from Marietta, Georgia.
That's right. That's right. But heck, as a fan of you guys have grown and developed and pursued exactly the same thing I did. Yeah. And you guys have been blessed and well taken care of, and it's been a fun run to watch you guys do what you do and just be a big fan of it.
Well, you've been a big part of it too, and we've had you've been with us, man, highs and lows.
I mean, I got you guys to Birmingham.
You did, you did. Well, you and the mafia
Me and-
over in
me
Pell
and-
City, not the real mafia.
Me and 10,000 other people that claim that they put the deal together, but
And Rick, a year ago, had one of the high honors for me was to get an honorary doctorate degree with Dr. Jones here from Jacksonville State University.
Both of you.
that's right. That's right.
And they probably would have invited you, but you already had a stadium named after you.
That's
so.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't want to pile on.
right. That's true.
But that was a great honor.
No, it was
and
a
I
great
enjoyed
honor.
being able to do that with you, Todd. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was, and it made it more because I was super embarrassed of. That's the one thing that I look back as like parent Todd.
Oh, yeah.
And grown up Todd of just how many times I wasted that scholarship at Jacksonville State, and how awful my grades were, and how I never graduated, and then they're going to be super nice to me and give me an honorary doctorate. I felt silly. But then, Bubba was with me and helped me enjoy the moment. The president was super amazing. I never had a chance to do that, and I was so humbled and honored to be a part of that. And I've enjoyed doubling back to Jacksonville and spending time. Bubba and I have a suite together there. We watch the football games, it's been a lot of fun to keep up with the guys that I played with, and the athletic directors was there when I was there, and does a great job. Greg Seitz and Jacksonville's, they're expanding their football program and their football stadium, and it's going to grow, and it's gonna be a force to be reckoned with for sure.
And
for
the
a
new
long
baseball
time.
facility
Oh,
is
yeah, how about the
fantastic.
The
baseball
baseball
fields?
facility is amazing. Coach
Really
Case,
nice.
Coach Case has done a great job at Jacksonville after Coach Abbott left. He's been there about as long as Coach Abbott has now. So continuity is a big thing there, and he does a great job.
Well, we'll need to bring you back. I mean, can y'all believe we've already done 45 minutes?
I know. I
That
feel like we
how
just
fast
scratched
did
the
that go?
surface.
It was way too fast. There's so many more things we could talk about.
Yeah, we have. So we may have to bring you back for a Todd Jones, Rick and Bubba University Part 2.
Part 2.
Yeah. So thanks to all of you.
Hey, just stay in it, boys.
You too, man.
Appreciate everything you do.
Thank you, Todd. You've been a great friend, and you continue to be. And you've walked through this with us, the good, the bad, the ugly. We're thankful for that. And thanks to all of you who continue to support what we do too. And thanks for being with us on this edition of Rick and Bubba University, the podcast.